All right, allegedly we're live.
No one else is around. Okay.
Well, no, but they can log on later.
Okay.
All right. So we are. Jim is out of town, off doing city squirrel stuff in Florida. So we don't have access to his YouTube channel right now. So we're on North Texas Troublemakers. If you pop on here and you're one of our regular viewers, would you kindly let everybody else know that we're not at Jim's right now? I'll do that right now while Peter gives us the events of the day.
Oh, all right. Is the microphone live?
The microphone is live.
Okay. I'm going to pull it a little bit this way so it's in the middle. There we go. Well, fun and games and everything goes with them. Politics, as usual, is screwed up. So is the economy. So we may as well relax and enjoy ourselves. Not much else you can do about it. I've been having a whole lot of fun trying to price and buy bits and pieces of building material for a shed I'm putting up in my backyard, and finding that prices have approximately doubled in the 4 months since I last got quotes for these things, which is causing me a slow burn in my bank account to have a heart attack. That's kept me going most of this morning, in fact, and I've just finished doing it for a while to recover my mental balance and stop shaking and biting teeth and grinding teeth and all those good things. And meanwhile, Jim, of course, is off to see all his old buddies and his comrades in arms and former comrades in arms, talking about what they used to do to the Soviets and various other enemies, sort of enemies, whatever, during the active service years. I understand that a certain amount of liquor will be consumed and a certain number of stories will be told, and people will be embarrassed or whatever. They usually are at the gatherings like that. Fortunately, we aren't there because we'd simply add to the embarrassment, so we can leave Jim to make his own.
Yes. Hey, we've got bodies.
Yes, looks like it.
Okay, so if y'all can let everybody else know, we don't have access to Jim's YouTube, probably for a really good reason. So if y'all can let everybody know that we're over here this time, appreciate it. I just talked to Brendan on the phone, by the way. Okay, so if you have a 401k or, like I do, the nonprofit equivalent, you might want a steadying sniff of brandy before you open to check your account. It was a hell of a shock this morning.
How many percent down? Horrible.
Yeah, it's 10% of what it was a month ago. I mean, I took it in the shorts.
All I can say is I don't have anything like that to worry about, because when I did my resistance move and walked away from the priesthood, I lost all my pension stuff at the same time. So I don't have one to worry about. I just have to keep on working.
Well, fingers crossed that the county district retirement system stays stable, because that's a big part of our income right now is my sheriff's office retirement.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's going to get interesting. No, seriously, the economy is running on fumes right now. And almost any indicator you care to look at is really, really dire. So one tries not to be too negative about it, because what the hell, we have to live with it, whether we like it or not. But it's going to be really, really tough over the next few months. And all I can say is we do the best we can, including helping each other if it gets that bad. Because I'm quite convinced that some of us, perhaps more than a few of us, are going to find ourselves without jobs and with drastically reduced incomes. And it's at times like that a community of people who think and feel alike about things really come into their own, because those who are working can help support others. Those who aren't working can do a lot of work for others, freeing them up to go and work and make some money. We can all support each other with our emergency reserves of food. And I really believe it's going to come to that for a great many of us.
Oh, we're steadily populating the feed.
Yep.
For those of you just popping in, Jim has wandered off to parts unknown in Florida to a secret squirrel seminar. So we don't have access to his YouTube, probably for a good reason. And I didn't realize that was going to be an issue until about 10 minutes ago. So that's why we're currently on the North Texas Troublemakers. Sorry. Pass the word. If you can, pass the word.
Rick, you commented that you just had to replace a vehicle that got totaled and had to swallow a $10,000 markup on the F-150 you bought. We had that a couple of months ago where Dorothy's Subaru was sent in for its big service every 100,000 miles or so. They came back and said, oh, you're going to need to spend $11,000 to fix it all up. This on a 2006 car that would be worth maybe, if you're lucky, 3,000 or 4,000. So we had to go and buy something whether we liked it or not. And they tried to sell us a used Camry, 2 years old, 20-something thousand on the clock, for $2,000 over the current MSRP. And then we told them what they could do with that in words of approximately one syllable. We ended up buying a brand new one at about $1,000 over MSRP. We had no choice on that. If we wanted the car, we had to pay it. But at least we got a new one. And let's face it, it used to be the case that you never bought a new car because you took depreciation in the shorts when you drove it off the dealer lot.
As soon as you left the lot, you lost $5,000 on the value.
Yeah, but nowadays that no longer applies. We could take this back tomorrow and get back what we paid for it because that's the state of the market. So, yeah, it's horrible having to pay those prices, but the market is no longer what it was.
Better than walking in, what is it right now, 105 degrees?
Yes.
Better than walking 105-degree heat.
Yeah, I am really, really grateful we had our new aircon put in last month because the old one just did not cope in the heat like this. The house just skyrocketed in temperature. Now it's holding its own just fine.
Yeah, and it's May. The bad old days, back before global warming and all that, it used to hit hundreds early June, sometimes late May. We've had a couple of years of unseasonably cool temperatures. So this triple digits in mid-May is...
Yeah, well, the first one we had, the first 100-degree day was back in April.
Was it?
They had one in April. Just one. But that was very unusual.
Probably slept through it.
Yeah. Well, you know what they say. It's Texas. Wait 10 minutes, you'll get different weather.
The weather will change, yes. Yeah, Rick points out, or somebody pointed out that it's not money until you actually withdraw it. It's still a bit of a shock.
Yeah.
When you're looking, you went, what the hell? The decimal point moved a couple of spaces, and that's a kick in the shorts.
Yeah. Especially because our pay and pensions and whatever doesn't keep pace with that. Not even close.
No. Well, that's the place I'm working, my retirement job has the nonprofit version of a 401k. And I got smart. And I took, because you can choose high risk, medium risk, and low risk stocks, and a percentage of your contribution to go where. And half of them to extremely low risk stocks. And I think I was doing 25 and 15 or something. Very small amount of low risk stocks, but a bunch of the kids, when the kids sign on to 401k, financial advisors will tell them, you're young, you've got time, go for high risk stocks. And I'll bet they're screaming right now.
Yeah. Oh, there's people I know who have been wiped out, just gone. Not funny.
Well, Dave Spalding, who is one of the more level-headed and long-thinking individuals I know, was, for the first time in my experience, swearing on Facebook when he took a look at his stocks. He actually said a lot of swear words that we use as punctuation. Dave doesn't. And he was cussing a storm. And I'm in mid-50s. I've got time for the market to recover and all that, but still a shock.
Yeah. And
still a bit of a shock.
Something else to think about, too, is what's happening to price increases, because I've been buying a lot lately because of all the improvements we're doing at home. I'm seeing on Dorothy's and my ordinary household budget, the things we buy every month routinely, we are looking at approximately a 50% increase across the board.
Holy God.
From January until now this year. I just bought cat food this morning. A bag of cat food, £7 that we normally pay about $33 for, is now 52, and that's in 3 months since we bought the last one. It's absolutely insane, and the excuse is always, oh, supply chain crunch or whatever it may be. But in reality, what you're seeing is the value of the dollar is plummeting. It's not that it's got that much more expensive to make the cat food or whatever. It's that the number of dollars in circulation has grown so massively that the dollar as a unit is worth significantly less.
Yeah.
And that's the root of this inflation.
Well,
thank you, Brandon.
Rita called me outraged yesterday because she's got a little Toyota Camry, I think, little white 4-door sedan, one of Toyota's better deals. And for the first time, she had to pay more than $50 to fill it up, and she was outraged.
Yeah, as I mentioned on my blog this week, I filled up half a dozen jerry cans. We keep reserve gasoline in jerry cans for the cars, a tank full each, the lawnmower, generator, that sort of thing. 30 gallons of no ethanol gas cost me $132. And I know that's actually a good price compared to some parts of the country. In California, that would have been closer to 180. But for this part of the world, that's an insane cost.
One bright light, or bright, I guess, spot in this whole mess is, good Lord, the Democrats and those espousing their philosophies are going to take it in the shorts, because there's a whole bunch of people that don't vote. That voting doesn't get personal till something gets them in the shorts or in the wallet in this case. And a whole bunch of folks just took it in the wallet. And I'm sorry, it's directly due to Democrat policies.
Absolutely, it is. First thing Biden did, first day in office, shut down the Keystone Pipeline, which would have brought in cheap crude from Canada to be refined.
They must have burned some mimeograph machines, because they sent out talking points on that one to everybody, and they're cutting, and the usual shills are cutting and pasting the responses.
Yep.
Because right down to the spelling errors. It's just, put some effort into it, guys, please.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at what's going on with the Supreme Court and demonstrating and screaming threats outside Supreme Court justices' houses. These extremists actually believe that they can intimidate their way into getting their way.
That's all they've known.
Yeah, they have no idea how angry the rest of the country is getting looking at this. I'm waiting for Black Lives Matter or one of the fringe groups to start actually throwing Molotov cocktails at the houses, or rocks, or making some direct attack. I think you're going to see people coming out onto the streets with their AR-15s and saying, we're going to clean house. Well, I am very afraid that's not as far-fetched as it may sound.
I'm pretty sure the U.S. Marshals are watching the Supreme Court justices' houses, and I like the Marshals. They're good folks.
Well, the problem
they don't care.
The problem is it's not them, it's the FBI. There was a report just yesterday.
Why?
That the FBI cautioned the demonstrators in front of Kavanaugh's house that they were not to disturb the neighbors next door because they had nothing to do with Kavanaugh. They did not say a thing about the demonstrations against Kavanaugh, that they were not to disturb the others.
Since when is the protection of federal judges and justices in the hands of the FBI? It's always been a Marshall thing.
You know it, I know it, but the Biden administration does not give a damn.
For God's sake.
They have politicized and militarized the FBI. It's now simply an arm of partisan political enforcement, and it's no longer to be trusted.
Now, the FBI has been... I've gotten in trouble, mild trouble, a couple of times. One time I walked into the secure control room of the jail. My chief deputy was in there. He laughed about this for years. And there's a guy in a suit in the back corner. And I looked up at the sergeant that was running the control room. I said, who the fuck let a Phoebe in my control room? And chief deputy was in there and he went, Ian. I said, sorry. Who the hell let an FBI agent in my control room? Phoebe went, I'm not a big fan of I've never have been a big fan of the FBI there.
Well, when I worked as a prison chaplain for the Department of Justice, I had routine, regular contact with uh, the Bureau of Prison's own security service, the U.S. Marshals, the FBI, Secret Service, basically everyone who would have to deal with high level federal prisoners, and every one of the federal agencies loathed the ATF.
Oh God,
They
yes.
regarded it as F troop. They were really rude about it. But then when the FBI wasn't around, the others were just as rude about the FBI. And this is going back over a decade.
I'm usually rude in front of them.
Yeah. Well, when everyone's feds together, they try to observe the impropriety.
I've been to a couple of gun schools where ATF has sent more than one, sent a group, and it's gotten to the point that if the ATF has more than two of their kiddies at a gun school, I'll leave. I don't. They're not safe. They're idiots. Just not a big fan of the ATF. And the Phoebes, I've never been a big fan of the Phoebes. I really haven't. I used to be not. I was neutral with an attitude, but they just don't cover themselves in glory. They really don't. And the latest thing that real and burning all those kids alive in Waco should be. I mean, that was the FBI. Sorry, guys, that was the FBI that burned a bunch of kids to death in Waco that didn't need to die. I am more furious about the fact that the FBI not once but twice, hey Frank, how you doing? Not once but twice were called to investigate allegations of sexual assault on the United States gymnastics team and didn't do a bloody thing.
Yep. They didn't do it with the gymnastics team. They didn't do it over Hunter Biden's laptop. They basically instigated the whole kidnap the governor thing in Michigan.
And they've instigated more and more.
Yeah, but the jury saw through that and acquitted two, and the other two have been. I don't know if they're going to retry them or not. I think they'll be very stupid if they do. They ended up with a hung jury, and I don't see how they can hope for anything better. But there's just been time and time and time again when the FBI has shown itself as partisan and interfering.
Mm-hmm. And it's just getting worse.
Yeah, and basically instigating rather than investigating.
Well, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, I used to laugh and roll my eyes. I honestly did roll my eyes at 4chan's mention of glowies. 4chan refers to instigation by alleged federal agents or federal confidential informants who seem to be rather obvious as to the fact they're federal agents or federal confidential informants as glowies. I used to roll my eyes. I didn't think anybody would. I've been undercover. I didn't think anybody was that obvious. Boy, was I wrong.
Yes.
Holy gods, was I wrong.
In my blog, sometimes I have some fairly open, fairly blunt discussions about how the government is screwing up. And you can guarantee that a couple of comments will come in from someone calling himself unknown or some neutral name, calling everyone who isn't a hardline right-winger a leftist, this, that, and the next thing, and calling for a violent revolution, and we've got to kill them all. And it's quite obvious that they're trolling. They're trying to get responses from people who say, yeah, you're right, we must do that. And fortunately, most people have got the sense to look at that and say, I'm not going there.
I used to think it was a joke, the meme, hello, fellow Americans, let's blow up a federal building.
Yeah.
I used to think that was a meme. No, they're actually that damn dumb.
Yeah.
They're just that damn dumb. And something everybody knows about the hunting over bait that Garland PD did at the Let's Draw Muhammad contest, which hunting over bait's legal in Texas, but still, damn, guys. The two Aloha Snack Bar patrons who got unalived with a quickness, courtesy of Garland PD, were apparently 2 out of 3. And the third one was an FBI agent who was about to enter the parking lot following them. Wow. Really, guys?
And he was the one who was telling them, oh, we must tear up Texas, quote unquote. Yeah.
Yeah, again, hunting over bait, it's Texas. It's legal, but not really moral, guys. Hunting jihadists over bait, come on. Yeah, at least buy a fur bearer permit, okay? Lori Lightfoot's call to arms. Lori Lightfoot's an idiot. She is a chihuahua somehow given human form. With
I
the
think
attitude.
That's an insult to all decent chihuahuas.
She's got the attitude. She's got the bug eyes. She doesn't have the decency to at least be crossed with a dachshund, so you get a Chiweenie, which, as we know, are the supreme beings. She's just a chihuahua in human form. I think she's a were chihuahua that got stuck.
Either that or a hairless cat that got crossed with a chihuahua. How's that? The Lightfoot is just weird. She is. There is a mental. I don't want to call it a mental block. It's a state of mind with her that really believes what she's saying. She actually does believe it. She's not making it up. And there are a number of Fox, the district attorney up there, is another one, a true believer. They absolutely believe what they're saying. They look at all of the consequences in crime and violence and dead people that their policies are causing, and they blame the right wing for it. It's all the right wing's fault, because if it wasn't for racism and institutionalized whiteness, and without that, they wouldn't have it. That's what they really think.
For everybody that's point of order on decent chihuahuas, compared to Lori Lightfoot, all chihuahuas are decent, even the one chewing on your nose. Anyway, I've got two things to statements to make. There went the squirrels. Glow stick. One, Rita and I will be doing the podcast on Thursday. Between now and Thursday, we'll probably be doing it here again because Jim still won't be back. But between now and Thursday, can you think of subjects or panels you would like either one or both of us to give at future conventions? Don't start posting them now. Think about it. But if you think that we would have a insightful view of something for a panel or even a presentation, Thursday, throw it up on the sidebar.
I'll give you the first one, whether you should sit front to front or back to back when sharing a bath.
Moving on. Somebody sent some Korean snack food for me, courtesy of Jim Curtis. Yeah, I'm not sure who sent this. It's a Daegon Delightful Korean ellipses and food for everyone. Thursday, I will be taking a look at these things.
Go on, just give them a sneak preview of one of them.
Okay. Sneak preview.
Oh, there, that bright red one will do.
Yeah. Cock to ass. Really, guys? No. Hey, look. Chopsticks. I'm good with these. The rest of this, I don't know about. So, Thursday, I will be investigating these, and Rita will be offering her usual charming yet pithy commentary, if I know my little lady.
And the kimchi farts will be thick.
Oh, yeah, there's not only spicy ramen, there's 2x spicy ramen in there, and I'm not sure how that compares to Tex-Mex on levels of heat. So whoever sent it, thank you. I don't know why you did it. The soju cups are adorable. We'll probably use those for bourbon. But no, so Thursday we'll be investigating this stuff with Rita to give pithy commentary. That's it for me. Anything else, Peter?
Oh, nothing terribly much, just life, the universe, and everything. Dorothy and I have been very busy the last 6 weeks or so, upgrading various parts of the house. We got paid a debt that's been outstanding for a long time. And rather than let that sit in the bank and just lose money hand over fist with an effective inflation rate of anything from 20% upwards, we decided we were going to do all the repairs and upgrades we really needed to do to the house. So the last few weeks, we have got a new HVAC system in. We've ordered a new garage door, which is insulated, not just bare metal. And believe me, 105-degree heat with the sun on the bare metal It gets hot in the garage.
Garages are nasty in the winter here.
Yeah, so we're going to take care of that. We found that our electric installation was seriously defective in two areas. There was a 200 amp board with a 150 amp incoming wire, which wasn't very useful.
Okay.
And then the ground was not ground, which was even more useful. So we got the we got the electricians in and had a new circuit board put in and took care of all the problems, which was a big unexpected expense, but at least it's done. Then Dorothy wanted a patio, so we've had that slab cast and we put a steel roof over it, and we're enjoying it very much.
Yeah, that patio y'all put it in is really nice.
Yep. And then just at the bottom of the garden, opposite the patio, we're putting in a 25 by 16 foot metal building, 400 square feet in total, which is going to be a sort of combined storage and workshop and garden shed, which we've needed for a long time, but simply couldn't afford. Again, doing all of this, especially with the shed with the adding electricity and insulation and a garage door and air conditioning and all, it's ridiculous. The prices have effectively doubled since we began looking at the project about 4 months ago. It's going to cost us approximately twice what the initial quotes were.
Build back better, right?
Yeah. So all we can say is we're glad we're doing it now, because in about 6 months' time it'll be completely unaffordable again. It's crazy.
Oh, and it was built back bugger.
That too.
For those of you who didn't hear Rita back in the popcorn battle, she informed me I was wrong, and what I meant was build back bugger.
Yep.
She's not wrong. Speaking of, on Thursday when she's on here, y'all need to congratulate her. She matriculated with her master's degree in English this weekend, which we are very proud of. I don't think it's quite sunk in yet, but that part of her life, now she's, like I told her the other day, she's got a blank page with a flashing cursor ready for her to fill in the next part of her life, and it's going to be glorious.
Yeah, so no pressure, right?
That little sarcastic voice. So no pressure, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you're getting much congratulations in the chat, by the way.
Thank you.
She says thank you. I don't know if can y'all hear her?
Don't think so. I'm not seeing any lights on the
microphone.
I can make myself heard.
That lit up the microphone.
Yes.
Just barely. Okay. Some can, some can't. All right. Heard that. Okay. So our next con will be LibertyCon, right?
Yep. In about 5 weeks from now?
5 weeks.
Something like that.
And after that, it's going to be FinCon. For those of you who were at TullCon and got to meet Kelly Grayson for the first time, he will be back. He'll be back with us at FinCon. And there's a chance that we may be able to get Kelly and Rita doing Methyl Ermin at karaoke at FinCon. Y'all might want to record that.
You might not.
No, I might not want them to record it.
Uh-huh. Yes, there were certain raised eyebrows when they were doing their duets in the bar, in the hotel.
They loved them.
Because there were people there for a dog show. There were hotel staff. There were others passing through. And there were these two. Well, let's say they were trying to sing.
Well, they were singing rather well. They were singing Ethel Merman rather well. And it was the con staff that were there were thrilled, because that's the sort of thing that happened in the old cons. That's the sort of wild fun that happened in the old cons that needs to start happening again. People go to conventions, the literary conventions, science fiction conventions, to have fun, not to be beaten over the head with whatever is currently the outrage. So them belting out Methyl Ermin as duets in the line for the convention supper was fantastic. The convention folks were thrilled. I was thrilled. It was great. Did she? So There's probably going to be convention karaoke, possibly, maybe. So if we can get Rita and Kelly doing Methel Ehrman sings current rap songs.
I want to get Kelly to do his TSA striptease.
Oh Lord! Oh, John is there. Hey, Jonna. Oh,
Yeah, Kelly is notorious for attending heading out to a convention during the Kilted to Kick Cancer effort in September, which is a fundraiser held every September to raise money for cancer victims. And guys walk around wearing kilts and issuing challenges and getting paid for it, and they hand in the money to Kelly. And
it's a fundraiser for male specific cancers.
Yes. And Kelly raised a certain number of eyebrows in the official world when he had to go through airport security wearing his kilt one time, and proceeded to.
Well, he got selected for the special enhanced.
Yeah, he went sashaying up to the TSA, and they selected him for the enhanced pat down. And as the agent was pulling on his blue gloves, he looked up at Kelly, who was a very large gentleman, and said, "You're wearing something under that, right?" And Kelly said, "Oh, hell no. This is just this is the way the Scots wear it." And the guy looked at him, took off the gloves, and said, "Go away. Go."
Oh, well.
It's a pity. I would have filmed that one.
For those of you, send happy thoughts to Jonna. She's currently trapped behind enemy lines up in Oregon again. I say to her, there you are. Yeah, Jim forgot to leave us the passcode for his YouTube. So, and we can't get in touch with him. I'm guessing he's in the air somewhere that way.
Yep.
So we're probably do this Thursday too. We'll do it on this channel. So spread the word far and wide. It'll be me and Rita. And I'm going to be unboxing some Korean ellipses because that's what's on the label. And as Rita makes pithy commentary. Yeah, we definitely need to change the quilt backdrop. So Jonna coming back with quilt backdrop is going to be good.
I think he's planning on taking the soju cups and using them for bourbon. Maybe with soju in the bourbon just for a slight variation.
No, bourbon.
No, okay.
Bourbon.
By the way, did you know Early Times Bourbon has a premium brand?
Really?
Yes.
I did not.
Given the ghastly flavor of Early Times Bourbon, I shudder to think what their premium
brand
is like.
It's a decent mixer of bourbon. It's not Maker's Mark 46, which is my favorite mixer bourbon. It's Maker's Mark 46.
Yeah, but no, Early Times in pecan pie. No.
Now the oil fire? Woo! I'm waiting for Specs to restock their oil fire supply because
what's the one with the pepper in it, the red hot one?
There are several.
Yeah.
I don't drink them.
I don't blame you.
No. What? Okay. I'm making it an official announcement again that any agreements to chair anthologies are not binding unless I was sober when I agreed. And contrary to what witnesses state at TolCon, I did not agree to do a Your Honor, I Can Explain anthology. I said it was a good idea, but I did say I was going to do it.
Yes. Yeah, given some of the court cases where the judge has looked at you and said, really?
Oh, several.
Uh-huh.
And people, I mean, if that's an anthology, if somebody wants to do it, apparently Jonna has plans on that one, and probably Courtney too. And folks, I'm here to tell you, Rita, there are very few things that Rita asked for that I won't bend over backwards to give her. You get Rita and Jonna and Courtney together, and that's doom on 6 adorable legs.
Yeah. Yes, I must admit they can be persuasive. As in, you're going to do this, or we're going to beat you black and blue. No, they're not that bad.
The a panel on the basis of law enforcement would be pretty cool. Yeah. And I put down that we did a survey. The thing about basic law enforcement is it's so state focused. And for even in states, it's regional focused. Basics of law enforcement for Texas Panhandle is a little different than the basics of law enforcement for Dallas PD.
Yes.
Basics of law enforcement for El Paso PD is different than the basics of law enforcement for NYPD.
Well, of course, a lot of places like this, Bug Scuffle and places like that, the police's job is to rescue the bad guys from outraged citizens.
Sometimes, yes.
Before the citizens can take care of business. I've experienced that in a town where I was pastor in Louisiana, where a bunch of gangbangers out of New Orleans, around about the Katrina time period, they decided to hold up the local pharmacy and take all the good stuff out of the prescription drugs. And 3 or 4 of them bust in the front door and made their threats and demands, waving handguns around. And one of the nice young things who was behind the counter slipped out the back door and made a phone call. She did not call the police. She called her daddy. And her daddy, whilst piling into his pickup with his shotgun, called his buddies, who called their buddies, etc., etc. By the time the cops got there, were 30 good old boys with 30-30s and 12 gauges surrounding the pharmacy, begging the guys inside to please come out. Here we are. Let's have fun. And it took the entire police force to basically persuade these good old boys, hey, lower your gun. We've got the stand. And the bad guys inside could not surrender fast enough because they knew darn well if they tried anything stupid, they were going to have these good old boys all over them. And it was most instructive to be on the outside looking in. And I dare say Ian has a few stories that too.
Oh, yeah. Small town law enforcement, especially in the West, is more about, it's actually honestly about public service. I did more stuff like I got a 911 call because there was a nest of baby birds on a front porch, and a rattlesnake was climbing up the it's not a pillar.
Yeah,
post towards the nest of baby birds, and the caller wanted the sheriff's office to do something about it. So I did. I can remember getting a 911 call, and the result of me standing in a basement clamping the leak on a pipe while the lady at the house went to find the water shut off.
Yes. Another part of the fun thing, you talk about differing standards. I come from South Africa, where you do not have a judge and jury because the legal system is Roman Dutch law rather than British common law. So you have a judge plus 2 assessors who are themselves judges, and the 3 of them make a judgment call on the case in question, and the majority decision will take it. And it can be great fun because they apply the law as they understand the law. There is no appeal to emotion, trying to persuade jurors to see it your way, worrying about selecting jurors who may or may not be on your side. It's barbarously impartial. I remember one case where a dear young American lady had gone to a game reserve farm, whatever you want to call it, which part of their job was to take care of wounded and orphaned animals. And they happened to have a lioness with her cub who had been injured in some way. And so they had her in a fenced-off compound, and she was recovering before being let loose again. And when this bright young lady came along, the cub had wandered out a little gingerly and was walking along the inside of the fence. And this dear, darling American lady said, "Oh, how cute, a kitten," and put her hand through the wire to scratch the lion cub.
Drew back a bloody stump, didn't she?
Yeah, basically, Lioness, who was in the bush behind the cub, said, "What are you doing to my baby?" and took the flesh off her arm. It literally left bones and sinew. That's it. And after she'd recovered with some difficulty in a hospital, she tried to sue the game reserve for not having armed guards and signs every 100 feet saying don't do this and all that crap. It got to court, and the judge sitting up on the bench with his 2 assessors came in, sat down to the usual formality, etc., Picked up the case, read the first page, said, "Who let this in my courtroom?" Whack! Case dismissed. That was it. End of case. You'd never get away with that in America, but this poor dear American lady was rather miffed that was the justice she got. The rest of South Africa was saying, "Lion's got to eat too."
In West Africa, especially in some of the bush areas, the colonial accepted mentality still holds. And you'll find a courtroom will have a seat or a balcony seat where the representative of the Queen or the British government sits at all court cases.
Yep.
Well, the British gave up Nigeria a long time ago, but there are certain traditions. So the locals figured, well, what the hell, Dad was the closest thing to an important white guy in that he needs to sit in the balcony seat. So he got to sit there a couple of times. There was one, oh my God, the marketplace in Warri. The market square is a vital part of social life, or it was back then. I don't know if it still is. Vital part of social life. And so this young child, is walking through the marketplace to do something, buy something for Mama, I guess. And somebody tried to grab her. Man tried to grab her. She let out the scream, and hue and cry was in full effect. So the entire marketplace took off after him. And he wasn't stupid, so he took off at a dead run because they were screaming bloody blue murder and waving machetes. So he ducks down an alley. And what I will guarantee you happened was he got to the end of the alley, found the wall, jumped over the wall, and kept going because he wasn't stupid. However, the screaming mob of locals waving machetes tears ours down the alley, finds it empty, except for a goat chewing his cud in a corner of the alley by the wall. So, obviously, the man that tried to grab this child was a witch and had turned himself into a goat to attempt to evade justice.
Totally
so
logical.
they seized the goat and brought the goat before the magistrate. Going to try him for attempted kidnapping and witchcraft.
And the magistrate's quite happy to do it.
So, like Peter said, you've got the chief judge and two of his buddies, and you've got the goat sitting in the defendants in the dock. There's actually this little wooden corral that the defendant stands in, and you've got everybody's wearing their wigs and their robes, and they are applying the law to the letter. And my dad has to be there. And he about halfway through this, he goes, "Oh, for God's sake," and leaves me there. So they tried this goat, and the judges stated that unless he had, could offer extenuating circumstances, they were going to find him guilty. Well, the goat didn't offer any extenuating circumstances. They pronounced him guilty and had him taken from the court to a courthouse to a place in public, tied to a post, offered a cigarette, and shot.
Yep.
For attempted kidnapping and witchcraft.
Yep. And there are still parts of Africa where humans becoming animals and vice versa is absolutely believed.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing strange or mysterious about it. It happened. And if you don't believe it, then you are the problem, not the...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was curious. So, and bearing in mind that the Chief Justice, if not both of his accomplices, is accomplices the right word?
It'll do.
Okay.
Assessors.
Were Oxford trained.
Yeah.
These were full-on legal minds with the sheepskin to prove it.
Yep. I've had exactly the same thing happen to me in a thunderstorm in the Transvaal. I sat on the stoop, the balcony of the guest house, watching this thunder and lightning all over the sky. It was beautiful. And I was out there with a black man who was the physics teacher at the local high school. Guy's got a bachelor's degree and a postgraduate teacher's diploma. He is fully Western trained in science. He understands physics and chemistry far better than I did. And yet he was telling me that the real reason we were having this storm was that the gods were at war with each other. And, that tree that just got struck by lightning, the god of that tree just got zapped. And when I said, "Oh, come on, you're an educated man, you can't possibly believe this," he just shook his head sadly and said, "You white people are so blind to reality.
Mm.
It's right there in front of you, in front of your eyes. You saw it. Can't you understand?" And he absolutely believed that's what was in. For all his Western education, this was the gods at war with each other.
Well, I asked the Chief Justice. I said, why, you have a degree from Oxford in law. You've practiced in London. How can you? And he said, Ian, do you know that he wasn't a witch? Okay.
Yeah.
As far as eating a goat, no, because eating a witch,
bad for the digestion.
Well, it invites bad magic into your body, and that's a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, in another one in Johannesburg, which is the business center of South Africa, the stock exchange used to be on Diagonal Street in central Johannesburg. It's since moved to Sandton in the northern suburbs. But I remember Diagonal Street well, and I also remember the Muti traders, the black Sangomos, the witch doctors, and their medicine to make you have a successful day or make your enemies have a really bad day in the stock market. And all the black stockbrokers would arrive for work and solemnly stop at these stalls and pay out their money and buy their muti for the day to hang around their neck in a little doeskin bag or drink or secrete in the desk of their worst enemies to make them have a bad day, etc., etc. They would spend a fortune over a year because without it, they knew they were going to lose all their money.
You wouldn't happen to have the address of that one of those mutis, would you?
I can get you any.
Looking at my 401k.
Yeah, I can get you any amount of muti, but I'm not guaranteeing it'll work. Another one was the South African national soccer team. Soccer was always a mixed race game, but after majority rule came along, the new coach of the soccer team began to put muti into the toes of the soccer boots of his team to ensure that they could have a winning game. And some of the white players, when they put their boots on, found this stuff in the toes and said, "What the heck is this?" and took it out. Whereupon their black teammates refused to play unless they put it back in. And when a couple of them refused, they were dropped from the team. It's superstition to the nth degree, but they absolutely believe it. I wouldn't, on the other hand, think too highly of our lack of superstition, given the horoscopes and biorhythms and everything else that you see in U.S. newspapers.
Anybody that laughs and shakes their heads at some of my stories about West Africa, who visits a crystal shop, I got news for you.
Yeah.
Or homeopathy, or
crystals.
Crystals.
A rock is a rock is a rock. It's going to sit there and look at you and do nothing. I don't care what a nice, pretty crystal is. It's a rock.
Yep. If you're, there are a bunch of blonde junior leaguers out there.
Sorry, I'm going to get some water and stop my
right
cough.
ahead. There's a lot of blonde junior league mothers out there, or trophy wives, that will laugh at superstitious natives on their way to the crystal shop or or smudging with sage, or guys, same thing. Honors up. So let's see. We seem to have gained at least most of our normal viewing audience. So some of them are a little late, but yes, if you smash the rock flat and put lightning in it, it really does interesting things.
If you launch the rock at a high enough speed, it does interesting
well,
things.
there's that, yes.
Just don't do it at the local lion or tiger or something like that. They tend to take offense.
Well, it depends how big and how fast the rock is.
There is that.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, there's a, well, you've probably gotten one, but you don't know the particulars about it. The Nigerian Penal Code for fraud is Section 419 of the Penal Code. And the Nigerians got in on the ground floor of mail fraud. If you've ever received, it used to be faxes. You get a fax about from a barrister in Lagos.
Yes. Oh, did I get that?
The famous wreck on the Sagbama Expressway. He's wound up with $10 million and he's willing to share it with you. That's a 401(k) scam. And the Nigerians perfected that. The Russians are doing rather well these days, but
Yes.
the Nigerians perfected that. And then they upped it to emails. And I still get emails because they'll go through blog comment sections and harvest email addresses, and then they'll blanket send a 4019 scam out to 1,000 email addresses. I still get one of those, and they're still funny as hell. There's as happens and as restores my faith in human condition, the 4019 scammers have spawned a counter agent.
Yep. Anti-spammers.
Yeah, the spam baiters. And spam baiters, bless their hearts, have made it their mission in life to waste the time of the 4019 scammers. Because they're extremely difficult to actually bring to justice. If you get them in South Africa, if you can sucker little buggers and go to South Africa, the South Africans will hook them up. But most of them are smart enough they won't leave Nigeria. And there's no way they're going to be extradited no matter how much money they steal. It's not going to happen.
Especially if they share it with the local cops.
Yep. So the scam baiters come along and they'll get one of these 419 scam emails, and they will engage the scammer, and they will pretend to be confused or maybe slightly touched, and they'll waste as much of the scammer's time as possible. And some of them made an art out of it. Scameater.com, I think, 419,
Yep.
419eater.com and the scambaiter.com are two really good sites that actually have resources for the scam baiters. And my favorite one, I watched the updates on this for almost a month. This guy suckered a scammer from Nigeria into taking a trek going to the ghost coast, the shipwreck coast of Namibia. And
Skeleton Coast.
Yeah. And when the poor guy got back, the email he sent when he figured out he'd been scammed and had spent his own money to make his way to Skeleton Coast was glorious.
Yes.
It was all caps, badly misspelled, shrieking exhortations for the gods to do bad things. This guy, it was glorious.
Yep. The scammers, basically, they're in a no can't lose situation. It costs them nothing to send out emails.
Yeah.
And they can send out 1 million emails a month. Quite literally, the big ones do that. If they get a 0.01% reply rate, that paid for itself.
The simple fact that they're still, not only are they still in business, their businesses, more and more of them are out there, means that they're getting paid to do it.
Yeah. There are enough fools around who fall for it, and they're making money out of it. When I used to fly back and forth to South Africa to go see my parents before they died, every time I would get back here to the States to my rectory, and I would find 10, 11, 12 faxes piled up in the fax machine. And I had never given my details to anyone, but they were on my luggage label. So you knew in the airport someone was writing down the details of every foreign luggage label and then selling that to local scammers.
Well, greed is eternal, but one of the saddest things I ever saw, a classic 419 scam, is the orphan children.
Yep.
Parents have been killed. Political enemies are out to get the children, send us money so that we can get these poor orphaned waifs to safety. Dutch guy fell for this and had sent money to aid these poor orphan children because it was apparently a really good email. And he felt sorry for these children, sent money, and finally flew down to Nigeria to personally escort these children to safety, and was never heard from again.
Yep, they got their hands on him.
Yep.
And if you remember earlier this year last year with the Afghanistan thing, the number of fraudulent big appeals for aid.
Oh, Lord.
We've got the kids that were abandoned at the airport. We just need money to get them out of the country.
Yep.
Bull. They didn't have them at all. No one did.
That's not necessarily greed. That's a human desire to help the unfortunate, especially orphan children.
But they will con you any which way they can.
Yes, they will. I said this one Dutch guy, the 419eater.com was set up in memory of this guy because he was apparently he was an artist, a really great guy, and fell hook, line, and sinker for this poor orphan children scam to the point he flew to Nigeria to personally get them to embassy or across a border or something and disappeared. So,
Yep.
so, it's not. I don't feel sorry. I feel sorry for the little old ladies that get scammed because the scammers, the 419 scammers, love little old ladies.
Yep.
Especially if they're not real good on a computer, which helps the scam baiters because you can string one along for weeks with him trying to teach you how to use the computer. It's great.
Yeah. And by the way, if you get anyone asking you to send money via Venmo or what's the one beginning with Z? There's a number of fund transfer services. Is it Zillow or Zilly? I don't know. But all of them are subject to fraudulent abuse because not many of Zilly, that's it, thank you. And all of them are too easy to con. Once the money's gone, it's gone. It's in their account. You'll never get it back. If you go via PayPal, you do have an option to get it back. But the thing is, PayPal checks really, really carefully to make sure that scammers are not abusing its services. These other recent services are not checking like that.
Used to be was Western Union and MoneyGram.
Yes.
And then MoneyGram stopped sending stopped services to West Africa because of how prevalent this was.
Yes.
Western Union never did. And I actually had a generator program that would give me a fake Western Union authorization number, and I would tell the scammer that he'd be in Lagos. I told him I had sent the money to a Western Union in Warri, and here's the authorization number. He'd drive to Warri, and the authorization number wouldn't go through. He'd have to drive back to cuss me out.
Yep. So be very careful of anyone who says you can only send me money this way.
Yeah.
You can't send me a check by mail. You can't send me a money order.
Oh, and if they want you to pay out fines and Apple cards, Apple gift cards, no.
Forget it. No way.
No. Yeah. But no, I used to have a really, briefly when I was laid up for some injury and it couldn't do much. I had 3 of them on the hook, and I was having a good time messing with those guys because they deserve it.
Yeah.
Bitcoin. PayPal. I use PayPal because a lot of offer payment services, either your paper check or PayPal.
Yeah.
And the PayPal is a little more secure than paper check for me. So I use PayPal, but generally it's to get my royalty checks. Oh yeah, we had a scammer call. There's the famous. I'm with the sheriff's office, and we have a warrant for your arrest for unpaid tickets. You can send us the money, or we'll show up at your door. He called the sheriff's personal cell phone.
Yeah.
Said he was the lieutenant with investigations in Bugscuffle County.
Mm-hmm.
And the sheriff said, "Hang on." Stuck his out the door, had the phone on speaker, stuck his out the door. "Randy, you have a warrant for my arrest?" Randy went, "What the fuck?" Click.
Yes. No, they will try on. And also you get these emails saying, "I have video of you masturbating in front of your computer. Don't try and pretend you didn't do it. We have your webcam or whatever you call it."
Okay.
Of course, they haven't. And the fun part is, I say to them, "Well, go ahead and show it. I'd like to see it. Let me relive some memories." Well, there were any, but
cut me on the profits.
Yeah. And then they get totally flabbergasted when you say, "Well, show me."
Cut me in.
Woohoo!
Cut me on the profits.
Yeah.
Pay for my Screen Actors Guild card.
Yes.
I don't know about other authors, but I as soon as money hits my PayPal, I transfer it to my bank. My SSA record. So, Thursday, 3 o'clock, we'll be back here at North Texas Troublemakers for the Thursday video. Let everybody know, because I can't get into Jim's YouTube account. It'll be me and Rita. We'll do a little bit on this Korean stuff. And if you have ideas for panels that you think either Rita or I or both of us would be interesting on, drop them into the comments, okay?
I think that Sanford, you and I, and maybe Jim, will get together and think up a few topics that should really start things moving. Yeah.
That's putting it mildly. On that note, we have taken up an hour of your time. Sorry that I was expecting to do it on Jim's like we always do and couldn't get into his channel. We're out of here. Y'all be safe. See you Thursday.
Take it easy, folks.